Hello everybody. So this is again your YouTube content creator, science, health, safety, and music, and others. So our topic for today is one of the examples of English language. Okay, but this time this is gonna be practicing on how to speak properly in front of the audience. Could it be interactive or in a virtual platform or in a public places, face to face, personal appearance like that? Okay. So any, okay, or this could be a one way of practicing prior to your personal interview for a job or whatever. Okay, so this is gonna be like this. So the title of this vlog for today is how to solve problems. So this is very general, right? Okay, so there are a lot of problems we encountered in our daily lives. Okay, so could it be, for example, we have emotional problems, okay, attributed or linked to financial problems, okay, relationship, with regards to work, okay, like that, or your relationship to your friends or whatever. Get the point? Or another example is that you want to dream big, but until now you cannot achieve it. So that would be also an example of a problem, right? Okay, so physical problem talks about your health. Okay, for example, you cannot uh, eat very well because you have burned in your skin or you have a very itchy skin, headache, fever, like that's a physical problem, right? Emotional problem or spiritual problem because you cannot pray. Okay, so somebody really pushes you not to pray, things like that, or let's say you are so vicious. Okay, you are so bewildered of your happenings in life or whereabouts in your life in which you cannot understand, or your life has no meaning at all. That's why you don't have spiritual nourishment, right? So that could be the reasons why we have problems. Work-related problems are just easy to pander, right? And we can manage that one also. So I gonna introduce you, okay, a flow chart. It's gonna be a straightforward flowchart only. So I'm gonna draw here. The first thing to do is, okay, block flow diagram, BFD, right? Okay, so it's gonna be like the first thing to do, char. Okay. So mag-drawing da yun ta. Okay, because I don't have the whiteboard for today. Okay, so I have here the yellow pad. Okay, so the first thing to do, the first, okay, we need to create and gather. Wow. So it's just like parallel to have a scientific method, right? Scientific method, before you have your scientific theory, you can establish your own invention and discovery under your name, like that, if you are very or highly scientific. Things like that. But this time it's very general, right? Get the point. Things like that. First, create and gather on the first block, like that. Can you read it? Or it was reversed now? Because there's a lot of, comments about my vlogs. That when I wrote in a board, then they will say it was reversed. They cannot read it. And they recommended me to change, the screen like that. But sometimes I really forgot. Okay, out of a sudden it will goes back like that. Okay, next block will be Okay, narrow down. I will just have first the action verbs and later we will be able to input the information. Okay, narrow down. Okay, so number three will be after narrow down, then we have now the decision. Okay, like that. After that, the result will be if we try to let it go or move on. Okay, let go or move on. Okay, move on meaning you need to continue your daily routine in life to pursue your dreams. Things like that if you haven't yet accomplished your big dreams for now. But let go meaning you need to forget, you need to surrender, you need to retreat and forget it and start a new uh, life and start another dream. You have to let go meaning you don't need to carry that again and again and again. Okay, get the point? Things like that. So this is gonna be like this. First block, create and gather. Block is BLOCK, not the black. Block. Okay. Second block will be the narrow down. Third will be the decision. Third will be the move on or let go, things like that. Okay, so in here, since we're talking about problems, our main point here is the keyword here is problem. Okay, or problems. Okay, let's assume only one problem for now. Okay, of course, when you have problem, then you need to solve it. Okay, you need to solve it, so you should have your solution. Okay, solution or solutions, right? So let's say solutions, okay, or like that, or your interventions or your corrective actions or ways how to correct it, to solve it, so that your problems will be reduced and minimized because all of us have problems in life in which we cannot eliminate that totally, right? So this will be your basis in order you can come up with your decision, things like that, or and then after knowing what will be the implication, what will be the offshoot of your problems, okay, and the impact and the consequence of your problems or consequences or impacts. It depends on you. If you have only one impact, a very very important impact, essential impact or consequence like that. Okay, get the point. Okay, so we need to create solutions. Okay, create action verb. Okay, create meaning to say to develop. Okay, to develop. Okay, what else? To establish. Okay, to conceptualize. Okay, conceptualize. Okay, to build. Okay, to construct, like that. So there are a lot of action verbs that you will be able to use as long as the sense of your sentence will be clear. Okay, will be tangible enough so that it could be understood by anybody, your viewers, your readers, like that. Okay, so it could be develop, establish, conceptualize, build, construct. So that we mean of create, action verb. Now, so meaning to say, you don't refer yet to sources. Okay, you need to create by your instinct of your own intuition and insight first. before going to the references, because this is the main reason that it leads us to be intellectual. Okay, so most genius and smart people would rather create first rather than refer to any sources. This is really important. Again, brilliant and smart people, genius people, they would rather create first, basing to their own ideas rather than consulting books, references, websites first. That would be only secondary. Okay, if they cannot find their own creation to be useful, or let's say they cannot justify that that is very correct, accurate, and true, that's the time. Okay, so let's do this as our attitude. Okay, in real world. Okay, this means we need to trust our instinct, our natural intelligence first, rather than we need to focus sources, because in that way you are dependent. Because sometimes we don't have those gadgets, mobile phones, computers around us when we go everywhere. So our true intelligence will be calibrated and will be measured without sources first. Okay? Because it really helps us to think profoundly and deeply. And this is also the quality of successful people in life that normally passed several examinations. Trust me, okay? So we should practice this attitude to be independent by our own instinct intelligence first, or inherent intelligence first, before consulting references, because we will be dependent to that, and we will no longer think deeply. Okay, so if we think critically, we need to go first in our natural intelligence, our natural brilliancy and smartness of all the ideas that really accumulated in the hippocampus of our brain part. Okay, the storage of ideas and knowledge are retained and accumulated in our hippocampus part of our brain. Things like that. You got the point. So this is to create, or creation. Okay, so let's say our problem is really a bad habit of, you know, doing gossip. Okay, you need to create solutions for that. Okay, by yourself first. And then if you are very, very lazy to do that, because even though how deeply you think, and then your mind cannot be squeezed and doesn't, warm up. So you need to go to sources, because it is not also good to force your mental intelligence. Okay, because not all people in the world or in the planet Earth are also blessed with, natural intelligence. Sometimes they need to go directly to the sources without thinking deeply. Okay, without conceptualizing first ideas in their brain cells or coming from their neurons. You get the point? Because sometimes also this intelligence are genes, due to genetic factor and due to our, offspring of our hereditary traits of our ancestors, like that, our descendants, things like that, our family tree or our family history, things like that. So sometimes, right? So we need to refer directly, but I'm telling you the best is to be independent first. Okay, things like that. Just like brainstorming, you don't have to refer, websites, social media, by your own ideas only as what you understand through the context. Okay? Get the point. So it's gonna be like, for example, what's my example a while ago? I forgot. I'm so forgetful. Okay? For example, another example lang. Okay, so let's say your problem is, gossip, right? Gossip. So your first solution will be You will not go outside frequently to avoid conversations that are futile, okay, or no substance at all. Pointless, that's futile in vocabulary. You get the point, so you don't have to go out. That's your first solution, to isolate yourself from any conversation that would not lead you to grow as a better person. If you try to indulge and engage in that particular conversation, it looks like it's not that relevant for you, things like that, and you don't have to go out. That's your first solution. Okay. Second solution is to do other things more relevant other than gossiping or conversation. Number three, you teach yourself to be introvert rather than extrovert. Okay, meaning to say, you will give space to your time to focus to yourself of who you are, who you wanted to be or to become, things like that. And then you can assess and evaluate yourself, your weaknesses and strengths as an individual, things like that. Okay, those will be your solutions. Okay, create independently. Okay, now we go to the another action verb, which is gather. Okay, so please listen carefully to this vlog because after my elucidation of ideas and contents here, we will be able to have an examination later. Okay, the next action verb will be the gather. So, in gathering, that's the time you need to reach other sources because you cannot do it anymore. So you can go to mobile phone, search for Google, search engine, and then websites, news, magazines, encyclopedia, especially your vocabulary is not that good, and then you have to refer sources so that you can come up and gather data as your solution. Okay, now you collaborate now or you compile your solutions to the problems. Okay, now you combine that all, then you have to prioritize. You do the ranking, which are more important. That is also easy to do and realistic for the moment. Okay, because there are also solutions that is not really practical and it involves a lot of efforts, time, money, in which this is not really logical to do. So it's gonna be like that. So you have to narrow down is your next action verb. Narrow down. So vocabulary again. So what do you mean by narrow? Narrow things. You have to reduce, you have to curtail, you have to dwindle, you have to a little bit reduce or downsize, okay, or let's say generalize so that you can come up with lesser solutions. Because if you have so many solutions, you cannot do it also. Get the point, to go to the most important and very, very effective solutions, things like that. It will be narrowed down only. Until such time, it will become really two or one solution. The high ranked or top caliber solution or most significant solution. And then you can come up now with your decision initially. You can draw conclusion. And that conclusion will be your initial decision. Okay. Now, again, you ponder and ponder and ponder again. Would I have the best solution? Okay, you question back after you narrow down it, right? And then, oh, this gonna be not the correct one out of two, right? You still have in the benefit of the doubt, you still have to choose the other one. Just like going to the examination, sometimes you don't trust your first instinct in answering the multiple choice question, and then out of a sudden you can really change your answer, right? It's gonna be like that. Also here, okay, in your solution, out of so many solutions in your brain cells by using creation and gathering, then you narrow down to two, and then you can change a little bit. things like that. And that's the time, due to the process of, extensive evaluation under your scrutiny, okay, and you cross-examine everything like that, then you can come up with a one and final decision. Okay, in that one final decision, you need to discover or need to conclude. Therefore, I conclude if either you will let go, you will move on. Things like that. Either you will stop, retreat, or surrender, okay, with that problem because you cannot make it anymore, okay, or move on or to continue, things like that. Okay, you choose now which of them to let go or to move on. Things like to move on is to continue your life, your journey, your endeavor to pursue a better world to live in, like that, and to have a better outlook in life. Okay, to really prospect positive things in your life so that you can achieve your wonderful dreams that you've been longing for, okay, since child and up to now. Since that kind of big dream is very impossible to do without any prayers, efforts, study, things like that. And sometimes, due to serendipity, it will just come to you if there will be an serendipity. If there's no serendipity, then problem. Vocabulary again. What is serendipity? So I want you to also to research every deep word that came out from my mouth. Things like that. So I challenge you every day. You always get 10 vocabulary terminologies so that you can master your vocabulary skills, and in that way also you can have an active vocabulary. Okay, in English, we have two types of vocabulary. We have the passive vocabulary and the active vocabulary. But we need to improve more on our active vocabulary, which are writing and speaking. You get the point. Writing and speaking. Now, most of the humanity all over the world are not following the active vocabulary because we are just watching, listening. And after watching and listening, we don't communicate what's the lessons we'll gain, we'll learn from the movies we've watched. Things like that. Okay, only passive. And in the day 2, day 3, week 2, week 3, after 1 year, after, it will just pass. Because that is a passive vocabulary. Watching movies, guys, are passive vocabulary. Sometimes it will pass away from your brain cells. It will not accumulate for year 2, year 3, year 4. So go first for the active vocabulary, which are writing and speaking. That's the more difficult examinations all over the world. You have to write. For example, if I am the professor, let's say I am an instructor of Michigan University and I have 50 students in my class. For example, I'm teaching chemistry because I'm a chemical engineer. Things like that, and I give them an essay type of question, things like that, and they have to write. Writing is to measure your comprehension ability. It leads you to think critically, okay, to and ponder things beyond your imagination. That's why scientists really have wild imagination and creativity, because that is through writing first. Okay? There's no technology before that the same today, but they came up with a lot of scientific discoveries in which we used and useful nowadays. From the time of Aristotle, John Dalton, Alexander Fleming, like that, Charles Darwin, Christopher Columbus, Charles Goodyear, J.G. Thomson, Pierre Marie Curie, like that, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Anton Lavoisier. a lot of scientists, whether they are French, American, Russian, European scientists, before there's no much technology, right? But why they can came up with a very useful discoveries and inventions? Because that is through creation, gathering, and they're using the active vocabulary. Okay, writing and speaking. After they've made their theories, principles, postulates, and scientific discoveries, they have already the books. They circulated all over the world from the past, right? That was before century, then after, before death and after death, AC and BD. We're talking about the history, okay, things like that. And then after that, they released the books and we use until now. Right? So those books, because we read it, that's passive vocabulary. Because we don't write it. Okay, they are the ones who wrote it for us in order for us to learn. Okay. And then if there are also, for example, I'm talking now with a passive vocabulary. If we have listening to TV news like that. If we listen, okay, we read first, right? The contents on the TV, the news, like that, we listen, and there's an audio. Okay, but it will just ended up there. We don't practice that. Get the point? So that's passive vocabulary. It will not end up with listening. You get the point? We should really write, speak, and convert that into actions. Okay? So that's active vocabulary. You get the point? So writing, speaking, and then converted to actions. Listening and reading are just passive. Just like passive income, not active income. Okay, guys? So this will be our topic for today. Okay, how to solve problems. But it depends on the degree and the level of the type of problems you have now. Because there are problems that are too difficult to solve. That it requires your closest friends to advise you, things like that. Okay, but this type of technique or tactic is doing to yourself first rather than consulting with your friends because they are also busy with other stuffs, and because sometimes we will not disturb them, okay, because we have different journey in our lives on earth. You get the point? They have their own families, they have their own siblings. Then why you go with them and ask advice? Let's solve your problems first before consulting to others. This is part of being independent, that you can stand by your own feet without others. Get the point? This is very important quality of humanity, because there are times in our lives that we will be alone. Nobody can help us and we need to survive, okay, without any help from other people. Get the point? So things like that, and challenges can be best solved by our own self first. Okay, because we could not expect other people also will help us in times of adversaries, like that, conflicts, you get the point, during your confusion in life, you are doubting your existence here in the planet Earth, and you baffled a lot, things like that, and you bewildered a lot, you cannot understand, things like that, and it seems that it leads you to be vicious. Okay, you get the point. It looks like, oh my gosh, I am now very vicious. Oh wow, diba? It's gonna be like that. So, in order not for us not to be savage, then we need to follow the steps of solving our problems. Okay? And then guys, if you watch movies passive, because most of the time passive, day-to-day life, watching TED Talk, right? Listening TED Talk. Okay, FB shared videos, YT shared videos, watching, listening. These are passive of learning. This is not active. Okay, because you receive already the information by your eyes. and your by ears, you are not conceptualizing your own. You are not creating your own. That's why, guys, in social media, I would not copy paste quotes, quotes, and captions. I will really create my own, coming from my brain cells and neurons. That's my genes. Okay, and when I do also the report, I will never consult Google search. Because for me, there's no challenge if I will copy paste in the Google search. Then if I cannot comprehend and I cannot create because of the difficulty of the topic, then that's the time I will go. But the first and foremost thing that I could be able to do is to for myself first. Okay, this is one quality of being formidable, things like that, resilient, steadfastly to achieve your dreams. Okay, things like that. So if you watch movies, okay, then you can also list the difficult terms that's very difficult to understand. There are a lot of enigmatic words that you cannot understand. Okay, then so abstruse, right? In which you cannot comprehend. Okay, so by the time you will write in a piece, blank sheet of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you can really watch another movie so that you can understand in the next movie by repeating those terms again. For example, by another movie, you can understand. Okay, things like that, just like solving mathematics. Okay, mathematics problem or mathematical problem. For example, in my part before when I was in college, if I cannot understand, if I cannot solve one problem, then I cannot sleep. Okay, I will really solve that until midnight, until I can solve by myself. Then if I cannot solve by myself, I will consult books in the library. Sometimes I carried 5 or 4 books in going to our place in city of Nagasibu from Natalio Bacaso City in CIT, from CIT University, because I studied without any dormitory. Okay, I always go to school, come back again to the home place, like that, vice versa. Because I don't fun, if you end, I'm not really convenient for dormitory. Because there's a lot of barkada and friendship galore, then my time will be eaten up for, shallow and superficial activities that cannot contribute for my personal growth as a productive and competitive student when I was before. Okay. I'm not telling that I'm not competitive now. So the more I'm competitive now, because I really research every time things like that during my day offs. Okay, so I'm very lucky. I have 2 day offs here, first time in my entire life. In my 22 years of being an OFW, this is the first time I have 2 day offs. Okay, Saturday and Friday. Then I can manage my time through research, extensive research, to research other specialization, not only the chemical engineering part and OSH part, occupational safety and health, but also to others, especially English language. I love it. Okay, you get the point. And because math and science are our specialization as an engineer, right? Okay, so I could be going to another specialization because I love also English, as I told you over and over again. Okay, things like that. So any questions so far for this? Now, question number 1. What are the first 2 steps in finding a solution to a problem? Oh, 50 points. Draw a black diagram for solving problems. Steps for finding the solution of the problem. If you're listening to my discussion, then you can get the answers. You get the point. Things like that. Okay, guys? It's gonna be like that. So, any questions so far? Okay, so this is very useful because when you deal with documentation, reporting, whether it is through written and through oral or vocally, or you have to voice out the content. Then, for example, if you love to become a reporter, it doesn't mean that you are not a mass communication graduate, you don't have a chance to become a reporter. Let's say, for example, by chance, or let's say by serendipity. Serendipity. I love that term too much. Serendipity as Serendipity. Serendipity. Wow. Okay, you get the point? Things like that. So you need to express. Okay, you have to utter words significantly and with relevance. Wow, significantly with relevance. Okay. Just like answering the question of the Miss Universe or Mr. Universe. What is the essence of being a woman? What is the essence of being a man? Things like that. Okay, if you want also to improve your reasoning skills, just watch also competition. Okay, competitions in big picture competition or macro scaling competition, universe, world, international. So it would not end up with local competition only. You get the point? Things like that. And then I'd advise you to watch also academic competitions in TV. Okay, I started that when I was in elementary. I always watch Battle of the Brains in Channel 9 RPN, hosted by David Sildran, things like that. So I watch really, and I carried that attitude when I was in high school and then in college, things like that. Okay, you can do that by practice, and then if you practice that for several years, then you could love it. Okay, you are now very very enthusiastic to do that over and over again. You get the point. Of course, you need to balance yourself. Okay, you need to be balanced emotionally, physically, spiritually, morally, like to be productive and to be prolific, right? To be prolific meaning to be innovative, to be inventive, things like that. Okay, you get the point. So things like that. Any questions so far? Okay, it doesn't mean that we are now working, we don't need to learn new things. Okay, you got that point because learning and knowledge is a continuous process. This is again your YouTube content creator, engineer Shatero Olipomusinu Jr., your YouTube content creator, science, health, safety, music, etc. If you think you like this vlog, you should comment or you could comment down below in the comment section and you can put images if you want also. Then you can also click the notification bell for some newest updates of science, health, safety, and music. Again, this is your Lulu Junjun. God bless everybody. Have a nice day. Have a wonderful world. Bye bye.